Hello everyone, my name is Rachel Grace Rajan with the matrix number of 209743, and today I will be talking about the digestive system of ruminants, specifically the physiology of digestion and absorption in ruminants. As we all know, the ruminant stomach has four compartments, which is the rumen, reticulum, omasum, and abomasum. Now, there are few processes that undergoes during the digestion, which is rumination, erudication, and the digestion. I will talk about rumination first, where the cud stored in the rumen is regurgitated in the mouth, rechewed to further break down the plant matter, and reswallowed. So this process involves the primary mixing cycle, which is the movement of ingesta. So as we can see, the rumination, it further reduces the food size and improves the digestion rate. So this allows higher levels of feed intake and thus a greater nutrient input. Then we can go to the erudication process, which is the expulsion of gases from the rumen through the nasal channels and into the atmosphere. And the gases released are carbon dioxide, methane, hydrogen sulfide, and sulfur dioxide. And these gases, they are produced during the microbial fermentation in the rumen. And this process is promoted by the secondary mixing cycle. Moving on, we can go to the digestion in the mouth, where the upper incisors for a ruminant, they are replaced by dental pads, which the lower incisors act against. So the teeth, they crush and grind the material during the initial chewing and rumination. And a typical milking cow, it produces 98 to 190 liters of saliva, and the saliva contains a large concentration of bicarbonate ions, which act as a buffer to regulate the pH of the rumen content, which is about 5.5 to 7. Then further moving on to the digestion, we can see how carbohydrates are digested. So in the mouth, the grass and grain, they are masticated, and in the rumen, the grass is converted to glucose by cellulase. The grain is converted into maltose by amylase and into glucose. The glucose is further converted into volatile fatty acid by microbial action, and the volatile fatty acid is either absorbed by the ruminal wall or it is erudicated. In specific, the acetic acid that is involved in the lipid metabolism for milk production in dairy animals, whereas the propionic acid is involved in carbohydrate metabolism for energy and growth. So the glucose, it can also be transported into the small intestine to be assimilated. And in the small intestine, starch and sugars, for example, maltose, it can also be digested by maltase into glucose, and it is assimilated by the intestinal wall. Then we can see how fats are digested. So in the rumen, the ingested fats, they are converted into volatile fatty acids by microbial fermentation. Then in the abomasum, the lipase converts the triglycerides to smaller diglycerides and monoglycerides. In small intestine, the fats, they are ingested and they are also emulsified into small droplets by bile, which is produced in the liver. The pancreatic and intestinal juice contains lipase, which converts the diglycerides and monoglycerides into fatty acids and glycerol. And finally, we can see how the proteins are being digested. So the dietary protein, it is divided into rumen degradable protein, RDP, and rumen undegradable protein, RUP. In the rumen, the microbes break down the RDP into peptides and amino acids, and the RUP escapes degradation by ruminal microorganisms and passes to the abomasum and small intestine. The peptides from the RDP can be degraded further by peptidases into amino acids. The amino acids are then deaminated to volatile fatty acid, carbon dioxide, and ammonia. The amino acids which is once they are converted into the volatile phases, the ruminal microbes they utilize the ammonia to synthesize the microbial protein. So excess ammonia is absorbed through the rumen wall and into the bloodstream, and they are converted into urea in the liver. The urea is extracted from the blood and kidneys, then excreted in the urine, or it is recycled through the saliva as a non-protein nitrogen in the RDP. The RUP is digested in the abomasum with the acid pepsin digestion, and it is completed in the small intestine with pancreatic and intestinal proteases into amino acids. And the portion of the protein digested to amino acid will be absorbed in the small intestine. That's all from me. I hope you all listened and understood. Thank you so much for listening, and hopefully, this is useful for y'all in the future. Thank you.